Hello quadcopter enthusiasts, I'm making this video to share my anti-vibration mount for a RunCam or a Mobius, or really any other small action cam of that form factor. It's a very simple mount. It costs about $4 to $6 depending on the parts you use. Fairly quick to make. I think the only tool I used was a Dremel with a cutoff wheel. So let's take a look at it. Here's my RunCam mounted to my SEMA X8, and the whole thing is suspended by 5 rubber bands. This mount could be mounted on top of a quadcopter instead of on the bottom as well. You could easily mount this to the top of like a 250 size quadcopter, you know, some sort of racing quad. It could be mounted this way. You could add some sort of wedge in there to change the angle of it. But it should really work well with any quadcopter of this size. I mean, this is about the size of a DJI Phantom, but it's also a very lightweight mount, so if you've got something that can't carry a huge payload, this works very well, and it very well matches the weight of the RunCam as far as damping. So yeah, as you can see, it has quite a bit of deflection on there, but at the same time it wants to stay back to center pretty well. It doesn't wobble around a lot. So let's take a look at how it's actually constructed. It's just a small plastic storage box, slightly larger than the RunCam. I believe it's about 50 by 65 millimeters, and it was about this tall. I chopped it in half, and then I used these. Let me open it up quick. On the RunCam itself, I used 4 rubber bands, 1 on each corner. And those are mounted with cable tie, self-adhesive cable tie mounts. Now these are normally used to mount cable ties like zip ties to a wall or to the back of a cabinet or something so you can run wires. But I actually took each one of them and I cut a small slot in the side of each of them so you could put a rubber band on each corner of that. And those are just put on the stock RunCam mount with adhesive. I believe they're sticky back. The box, I've got those same adhesive mounts on each side, and then I was lucky my box had some ridges on the front where I could cut a small notch into them to mount the rubber band into. And there's one on each corner there, one for each rubber band. The rubber bands are very small rubber bands. They're actually dental rubber bands. Used for braces. I'm not sure where else you would get a rubber band of about that size, so your best bet may be finding someone with braces and see if they have a couple spares. You could possibly use O-rings, but I feel like they would be too stiff for this type of application. And the reason for the 5th rubber band here too is, if I mount this back up again, might take just a moment here. Oops. Now, with just these 4 rubber bands, it has absolutely no sort of vertical tension on that, so it really wobbles all over the place. Now this 5th rubber band applies a tension to the whole system, and it takes a little bit of trial and error to get it at the right tension on each side. Kind of have to snap it a couple times. But once that's in place, that puts the entire system under tension. And I've just done a couple small test flights with this, and it seems to work pretty good so far. I feel like this has a little bit more deflection to it. It's a little bit of softer damping than like the zip tie only mounts. I've seen some of those that have kind of the loop-de-loop with a couple zip ties, and I played around with that a little bit, but I felt like it didn't dampen in all directions as evenly. It kind of was just up and down for the most part. I just did not like the way it looked. This looks to me to be a more clean solution. And I like the fact that it's easy to assemble it, disassemble it, replace rubber bands if needed. You can play around with the damping by adding different rubber bands, varying the tension on them. So it's somewhat adjustable. And now this whole system is just mounted with double-sided servo tape to the bottom of the unit. And you could probably rig up some sort of a more elaborate system, or maybe a quick release, but this just seemed like the simplest option. So yeah, that's my quick and dirty solution for the RunCam mount. And I'm using a RunCam. It should work about the same with a Mobius, as they're about the same weight and size. But yeah, let me know what you think, if you got any design improvements, ideas. Yeah, try it out. It seems to work pretty okay. If I get the chance, I'll try to upload a video of just how smooth this looks in flight.